Welcome, 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 everyone. So lovely to be with you all. Yes. So I have a number of announcements. So the first one, for the next 2 weeks, it'll be June 14th and the 21st. I'm going to be traveling, but there's a pretty good chance I will be here. And so this is what I ask. I ask that you do not sign up for those classes in advance, just to sign up the day of. So I'll know the day of, the night before. So let's just plan on being here. And if I'm not here, it won't be an option to sign up for this class if you sign up the day of. And two, I'll post it on Facebook. But let's just plan on it. Let's plan on it. I'll do my best to make it work. It's just me driving across the country, and I just have to have a stable internet connection somewhere. So anyways, that's one thing. And then the other thing is, I would really like to invite everyone to come to the Kripalu retreat if you can. Retreats are like no other time. Like when I reflect upon like an in-person retreat is such a gift that we give to ourselves, such an incredible gift. It's really a time when the energies are so ripe for both healing and awakening. I love in-person retreats. I used to just live for them. When I was young and on the path, I couldn't wait for the next one. And so they're always so, so powerful. And after the retreat last year, I had some people like write down, some feedback, or just like what their experience was. And then I was going to put like some of that on the website. I never got around to that part, but my wife found the letters, and she was reading like what people wrote, that this was the most amazing experience of their life, and how incredible and life-changing, this retreat was. And she was just looking at me like shocked. She's like, what happens there? Like, what's going on there? And I'm like, yeah, like they really are like magic. They really are like magic. And so if you can come, please come. And then also, if you don't have the means to come, just know I'll probably offer a online retreat in August, maybe the middle of August. So just to have that on your radar. Okay, those are all the announcements. Let's get into the teaching for today. I was reflecting a little bit about this path of Kundalini awakening, and what Kundalini really asks of us, and what it does to our life, is it turns us into a modern mystic. Now, in the olden days, like when I was growing up, I used to read all the stories of the lives of the saints, the different Indian swamis and gurus, Ramakrishna and Vivekananda behind me. I just love these stories. But one of the ways you knew that, let's say the Indian swami was in town, is if you looked at him, if you looked at her, they were wearing this orange robe. And the thing about a robe is, like, when you put a robe on, you get into character. Like, it's kind of like being in Hollywood, is you put that costume on, and immediately you get into character. You get into character. I had a friend of mine, actually the principal of my daughter's school. The priest was out of town, and so he had to offer some ceremony, officiate some ceremony. And just even look at that, I just corrected my language. Like I said, officiate. And so he put on this thing. I could be completely wrong. I'm not going to say, I don't know what it was. So he put on he put on a robe of some sort. And as soon as he put that on, he transformed as a human being. He transformed into the role of the pastor. And so he took this on, where he was going to do the rituals, and he would lead us in prayer. He would lead us from the perspective of the heart. Now, the problem with being a modern mystic is we don't have a get up, we don't have our costume that we put on. But it's literally helpful, for the mind, the psyche, to have something. A lot of people wear these prayer beads, and I'm not telling anyone to go out and put on a Halloween costume. But what I'm saying is we don't have this anymore. This thing where, even business people do this. My daughter, I just took her to Texas, and she got an internship at Whole Foods, and she was telling me what the dress code was, and it was smart casual. I have no idea what that is, but if I put that on, I'd be ready to do some smart business, some serious business, and it's something we do. It's like when we put on this dress, it's a sign for our body. Hey, I'm entering a new dimension. I'm stepping into a new context. Now, the problem with Kundalini is it literally slips in through the back door. It's kind of like a thief in the night. It just comes into our home, and it starts to take over our experience. And often we look at ourselves in the mirror and we say, oh, I'm the same old person I've always been. The same old person with my traumas and my bills to pay and my shortcomings and my struggles. We don't necessarily think of ourselves as a great Indian Swami. Like anytime you put on that orchid robe, you're like, oh my God, like I'm a Swami. And so it's time for me to be business. There's no clowning around. You're not really seeing Swamis clowning around. And normally, like you see someone in a business suit, you don't see them clowning, you see them being serious. And so the thing about this path is it sneaks up on us. And we forget that we are mystics, that what we are mystics. And it's important that we take this life and we take this path seriously. So the beautiful thing about Muslim is, in Islam, when you go into the mosque, you don't just enter directly. You walk inside, and then you go, to the right or to the left. You go to the bathroom. Basically it's a washroom, and you're washing, from your fingertips to your elbows, and you're washing your face. You're clearing yourself off of the past. Then you take off your shoes. Again, that's letting go of the past. Before you prostrate and begin to do the prayers. Begin to do the prayers. And so we don't have these reminders. And so in this moment, I'm here to remind you that you are a mystic. And so it's important that we live a mystical life and that we have a mystical mindset. Because some of us, we say, well, what I am is I'm a businessman, and this thing has happened to me, and this isn't fair because it's taken away my business lifestyle where I'm supposed to be on Wall Street right now making $1 million, or whatever thing it is that we're attached to. We're still wearing the old clothes, and we're still attached to the old identity. Kundalini wants you to take off those clothes, and those clothes being your old karma, and to step into this new identity. And in this new identity, as a mystic, well, what does a mystic do? Well, she loves to be in silence. She lives a life of prayer. She has total faith in the divine. Total faith in the divine. But we live in a world where we have total faith in our rational mind and total faith in what our mind is telling us should and should not be. But throughout history, we didn't always have this mind where we bowed before, the gods of rationality, the gods of ego. In the past, we always knew there was something much, much greater than us. We looked up at the heavens and we lived in a state of awe. we were in communion with nature. And that communion was soothing and supportive to our body, to our nervous system. Like when you are in nature and you're communing with nature, your chakras naturally begin to open. Naturally begin to open. Now I can remember, I've said this a lot, but I had a friend once, and she told me, Craig, I live in this little town called Berkeley, California, and we have a little farmer's market. And I looked at her like she was crazy. I was like, I think Berkeley's a big city. She's like, no, it's a little town, Craig. And we have these farms in our little town. And I went and I visited Berkeley once. There were some guys, selling meth, and some other ones doing heroin. And then two guys tried to fight each other with knives in the parking lot where the quote unquote farmer's market was. It wasn't farmer's market time, but my chakras shut down when I went into the city. My chakras were not open and we're not communing with nature. I saw an empty parking lot with, some people who are addicted to drugs fighting with each other with knives. And it's like, this is the world we live in. And so as mystics, we have to live a mystical life. And I can tell you the last time I visited a monastery is I visited this monastery called Christ in the Desert. It's on the Chama River in New Mexico, right outside of Abacu, which is a teeny little town in the desert. And when you're out there in the monastery, out in the desert, there's silence. It's a big blue sky above, or, in the night sky with the Milky Way above. There's birds chirping. There's a sound of a flowing river. And it's easy to commune with nature. And through this communion, again, the heart is opening, the chakras are opening. And, as the teaching goes, when the chakras are open, the Kundalini can flow fluidly and smoothly. There's this trust in life. There's this trust in our inner experience. And so I'm going to invite us all just to close our eyes for a moment, and we're going to have just a gentle guided inquiry. We take some deep breaths, so you can close your eyes and just feeling into your body. And if you ask yourself, do I think of myself? Do I experience myself as a mystic? Or am I overly identified with my egoic nature? Do I identify as a spiritual being or as a suffering human being who resists this path that I've been given? And so I invite you to look at your life, to feel into your life, and to notice, to ask, where could I let go more? So that I can more fully step into and have a mystical orientation toward life. What am I holding on to that is holding me back? What am I holding on to that is holding me back? And would I be willing to let go of these human or egotistical or arrogant thoughts or identities, and to step into a more open and trusting, communing experience? And the mystic is willing to claim their life on the spiritual path. Willing to honor their life as the spiritual path. And so if we can reflect a little bit inwardly, it's like, what could I honor more fully? The mystic honors their big, beautiful spiritual heart. They honor their depth of being. A mystic is able to look in the mirror and see holiness looking back at them. And so as you feel into your presence, you could ask, like, do I feel holy? Do I feel divine? The mystic knows their inherent wholeness and completeness. And so as you feel into your heart, can you see, can you feel, can you experience directly the spirit, the indwelling spirit, the beauty, the innocence of your heart? You see this, feel this, open to this directly, and know that what you are is good. Is good. Now the mystic is always excited about spiritual experience and spiritual energies. And so as you feel into yourself, I want you to notice, how do you relate to the direct experience of Kundalini Shakti? Are we smiling and saying, God is here? The divine is here? Or are we resisting and fighting and saying, no, I don't want this? And so I invite you to be close and to be intimate with your experience. This is how the mystic lives. The mystic is close and intimate with their inner experience. We're not attached to our thinking mind and the contents of our mind. The mystic is actually attached to their experience. They open to it and value this first and foremost. And so as we breathe, as we feel, as you look around inside, again, you may notice difficulties, pain, and tension. You may notice where you're holding on or holding back. And if you truly choose to stand in the authority, the power, the consciousness of the inner mystic, we can ask ourselves, well, then how shall I respond to any tension in the body? How should I respond if I have a chakra center that is closed? How shall I respond if there is a tremendous amount of Kundalini Shakti creating pressure somewhere in the spine or the nervous system? Does the mystic open and trust? Or are we going to live from our egoic human nature and shut down and avoid? What is the truth of this moment? And so as we breathe, as we feel, as we open, and experience, we're being with what's here. And so I invite you to feel into the mystical nature of your mind. So the mystic doesn't pay attention to thoughts. Mystic pays attention to the spaciousness of the mind. Spaciousness of consciousness. So we're feeling this, we're opening to this. We're noticing if we can feel this space in our mind, in our throat, in our heart, our chest, our solar plexus, the abdomen, the hara, the pelvis, the legs and the feet, the arms and the hands. And are you comfortable being this bigness? Are you comfortable being this radiance? Are you comfortable being this light? This light. So with each and every breath, the mystic opens to their experience. And so you can take a couple of deep, full breaths. Inviting this Kundalini to flow. Inviting our experience to expand. Inviting our heart to be open. Inviting the mind to be silent. Inviting compassion to flourish. And so you can gently open your eyes if you like. And so the mystical being lives a life of prayer. Of prayer. A life of prayer doesn't mean we're kneeling and saying the Our Father or Hail Mary over and over again. Like sometimes it means that. The true life of prayer means our heart is open and we are communing with God. We're communing with life. We are communing with our inner experience in every moment. In every moment. A life of prayer and a life of meditation is the same life. And again, it doesn't mean we're stuck on a cushion. It means we are open and experiencing directly. Now with Kundalini, the open and experience directly means we are feeling the energy. We are open to the energy. There's space for this energy to flow. And we realize we know ourself as this energy, as this light. Now, if we look at sports, like sports on the TV, there's the ones playing on the field, and then there's the ones who are up in that commentator area, and they're commentating on what's happening on the field. The life of the mystic is you being on the field. The life of the ego is you being a commentator. Whenever we are a commentator, we're not in the experience. We're one step, or maybe 100 steps, outside of the experience. We're talking about what is happening or what we're thinking is going to happen. We're judging it, we're condemning it, we're acknowledging it, we're cheering it on. We're talking about it. That's the life of the ego. The ego is constantly commenting on life. The mystic is constantly living life without the commenting. They're being the experience. When we be the experience, there's a great deal of freedom in it. We're living life fully. We are being awake to what is here. We are that which is awake. So this is the path. This is the path. This is what Kundalini is wanting from you, for you to live your life fully and directly, experientially, in and as the grace of God, in and as the light, the truth, the space, the peace. And so, okay, so that's the end of the teaching section. I'm going to